I am Jeff Foxworthy, and welcome to Gamekeeper Podcast. If you want to learn more about farming for wildlife and habitat management, then, buddy, you are in the right place. Join the Gamekeeper crew direct from Mossy Oak Land Enhancement Studio as they discuss the latest wildlife and habitat management practices, news, and, of course, hunting. There's no telling what you'll learn, but I'm going to tell you, I bet it's interesting. Enjoy.
We're live in 3, 2, 1.
All right, everybody, it's September, Land.
It is September.
It's
it
such
is
an
hunting is on the brain.
Oh,
man.
my goodness.
It's a teeny bit crisp on top of that. Usually it's still hot.
There has been a couple north winds.
I mean, it's not like we want it, but it is definitely better than usual.
Yeah, it is. You can kind of feel it in the air.
Labor Day is behind us, so Dudley, that means you cannot wear white anymore.
Okay, good to know.
What is that?
Well, that's the rule.
White.
Fashion rule. You
The
can't
rule?
Wear, you can't wear white after Labor Day.
Wait a minute. Our fashion rules are not the same
I don't
as New
care.
York.
Well,
Unless it's a whiteout for the Mississippi State
That's right,
Bulldogs.
yeah.
Well, what's up?
It's
You got on
it's a
maroon
fashion
today.
rule.
I've never heard that before, Bobby.
It's actually-
I guess I got to get out more.
You got to get out more. Ask Diane about that.
I will, but what about
Can you-
No more seersucker suits, Totsy.
who sets the fashion trends in this room would be our guest. So we're going to ask him about that and see what he thinks.
Totsy, why don't you introduce our guest today?
It is David the Dude.
Owens.
David the Dude. He is like, what's the saying about jack of all trades, master of none? He is jack of all trades and master of all.
Whew, I don't know about that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, if he decides to do
Absolutely.
something, he does a good job. I
Well,
should say. Just
you're fixing to exhibit that by asking him how's your year been already, Dave.
looking pretty good.
That's some high praise,
Yeah.
Dave.
Yeah, when
Yeah,
Dave
we
digs
got off to a
in,
quick
Dave
start.
digs in.
Hey, as the whatever, the chief cook and bottle washer here, I got to pay attention to results, and he gets results big time.
He gets them.
Dave, how does it make you feel when somebody, but Toxic's heaping a lot of praise?
It's
on
just
you
the
right
truth,
there.
Bobby.
Yeah.
It's not,
Yeah, it's flattering for sure and humbling when it coming from guys like you guys behind that desk there. So
Well,
for sure, it's
Dave, I got to say too that it is. I mean, think about his accomplishments, taking it on his own self to probably be at the top of the most watched media for turkey hunting. Pours himself behind it. Works so hard, so successful. Wins the Grand National this year. And the same. It's just like some people are just excellent at stuff. And he is just one of them, just like we're going to talk about deer today, too. So I just got to say in front of everybody, too, Dave, and it's not that. That's all great. We've had reminds me a little bit of Levi. He is unbelievable at his craft, but he's a great person, a great family guy, and, in many ways, someone that we're proud to put in front of people. Because if it's just about what you do only, as Dave knows, that's good, but that's not the example we want to put out in front of people. And, kids are looking up to and stuff like that. So I just appreciate how you handle yourself. You seem to always kind of rise above the fray, which is really cool, really important to us. So before we started, I was going to tell you something, so I decided to wait till now. So, everybody, of course, probably the most watched person in turkeys, along with Dave, is my dad, I believe it or not. It's unbelievable how the turkey world's followed Mr. Fox and all. And it's been so gratifying to him. He almost doesn't really know, but it gives us something to talk about every day when I go by. And he's really, really, really feeble right now. He barely can even get out of bed at all. It's one of those times. It's hard to talk about. But I'll tell you, he just doesn't, he never learned to really entertain himself. So he doesn't read books and stuff like that. And it's getting really hard. But when I get by and he's kind of depressed or whatever, I can turn on that TV and pull up like YouTube or Mossy Oak Go, and there'll be Dave and some other people. But almost always, like the moment stuff that we put out in the spring, in that special turkey night we do, you can just click to it pretty quick, and it doesn't matter if he's watched it before or not. He smiles, he lights up, and I'm just telling you, every day that I go by there and I need something to perk him up, I pull that up. And he watches you hunt, and it's really cool to know. I just want you to know it's sitting in his bedroom there with him.
that's pretty incredible. That's pretty incredible to think that it's our, the content we put out there that strikes home with somebody like Mr. Fox, because there's not a greater turkey man out there. He's at the top of the mountain, and to think that it's content that came through my lens that that's entertaining, making him smile. That that's humbling for sure. And that's all of us are, right? I mean, we're all just humble servants, and we try to put everything that we do out there and try to hope that it strikes home with some folks, makes a positive influence. And that's just kind of one of the mentality that I've kept. Just do right by do right by others, and
yes,
oftentimes fortune will fall in your lap. So
it's cool. He goes, and the biggest thing you get a kick out of this, because he can't hear real good. I'll turn it real. He said, "Damn, that son buck can yelp right there."
I tell you what, nobody loves it like he does.
Yeah.
I can hear his little giggle.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
So anyway, I had to tell you that because just yesterday, I did that just yesterday, and I didn't think about it till we got in here and saw you.
How about that?
Very cool.
Yeah.
incredible.
So, hey, Lanny.
Yeah, Bobby.
You ever struggled to crank a chainsaw? Nothing aggravates me more than trying to crank a chainsaw.
What is going on?
So I got a little.
Well, if that's the only thing that frustrates you to start, then you're way out of me.
No, not the only thing. But sometimes I have struggled getting an old chainsaw McCulloch. But I got a little. Dave, this made me think about you. So this is a little quote about chainsaws. You ready?
The pan fluke.
No.
The pan fluke.
Oh my God.
All right.
it, Bobby.
So this is called the chainsaw theory. A chainsaw doesn't start on the first pull. Sometimes not even the second or the third. Well, I can relate to that. But every pull builds pressure, and eventually it roars to life. That's how it works with effort, with dreams, with change, with turkey calling contests, I would imagine. Most people stop after one or two tries. They think it's broken. They think they're broken. But they don't realize the struggle was part of the ignition. If you knew how close you were to the spark, you'd never stop pulling.
Oh,
How about that?
how about that?
And that made me think about Dave and he's the Grand National Turkey Calling
Yeah, he
Championship.
is.
How many times, have he
Cranking that chain.
just always, and you're just right there, and the next yelp you make might be the perfect.
Now, Bobby, don't you have an electric chainsaw?
I have, yes, I got so tired of it, I got an electric chainsaw. And I like it.
He starts every time.
Yeah,
doesn't he?
Bobby, I thought you were on the small engine, tear it up All American team. And it has to be more than just the chainsaw.
I have seen this man run a chainsaw underwater, or try to run it underwater.
It worked.
It worked for a minute.
Try being the key word.
Yeah, it worked for just a minute.
We need to
Not
get
the
you
electric
one of them snorkels for your
I
chainsaw.
rest my case about the small engine.
Yeah, don't try that with the electric one. Dave's right.
No,
Oh, well, I thought that was a good little quote, though.
That is.
it was a really good quote.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Dave?
Yeah, I follow a guy that's always putting out stuff like that. He's a big business guy, and one of the things I think, and I'm going to misquote it, but it's like if you work harder, you're going to outwork everybody, or you're going to outperform everybody. 80% of the folks, because 80% of them are going to stop when it gets tough.
That's exactly right.
So all you got to do is keep going. When it gets tough, just keep going, and you're going to outperform 80% of folks. So
It's an age-old
doubt about
saying.
it.
I remember it from the 60s when I was a child. Son, when the going gets tough, the tough get going.
Yeah. Yeah, you can slam that works.
That was
Especially Bobby.
he
He ain't gonna hang in there long.
That was a definite Mr. Foxism.
Yeah, it was. It was.
So, Dave, we hadn't talked to you since the Grand National. How exciting was that? What did that mean to you?
Man.
Oh man, it was fun in 2018 when I won it, because it was so out of left field. Nobody expected. Nobody knew who I was. We didn't even really know what we were doing up there. So when we won it in 2018, it was so unexpected. But this one, I've been top 5, I think about every year since then, and finished second to Matt, I don't know, a few times, and third a time or two. It's like I've always been right on the edge, and winning it again was pretty incredible. And, holding the trophy was enough. But, man, hearing the crowd, that the open, that senior open, that's when the room gets full.
Yep.
And you're up on that stage, and the light's in your eyes, and you really can't tell that. But when they announce the winner and you hear that place come alive, one of my, besides holding one up by his feet, like that's one of my proudest moments, because just creating a brand or something that everybody kind of cheers for, it seems like, has been one of my biggest accomplishments, just having a brand that everybody's kind of proud to be a fan of, or proud to support. So when that room erupted, I'd never heard it that loud. and seeing friends of mine come up there with tears in their eyes. I mean, that's just, you can't put that into words. So yeah, that was a big one. That's one I won't. If I never win it again, I'll be okay, because that one was one that that one was solid.
Well, I want to ask you. So you left there and drove to Florida.
Of course he did.
Yep. So you're the grand national champion. You walk in the woods in daylight. You sit down. There's a turkey. You eventually get. This is the first time you yelp at him. Did he gobble, or did he like?
Let me tell you something. One thing I've said from the beginning: they don't care how many trophies you got. They will they will humble you. Yep. They do not know how well you've done on that stage.
Yeah. You know, I've said it a million times. Like, you can be. And I've said it for 30 years plus, you can be the greatest ever, which he is going to be. But you walk in the woods, if you're the best you can possibly be, you're just a hen. Just one more hen. There's a bunch of them out there. And just how you deploy it is way more than, anything.
Well, how'd your turkey season go?
Oh, man, I always have a good turkey season. I get to go. I mean, I created this thing so that I get to turkey hunt 90 days of spring. That's the only reason that I kind of developed what I have so that I get to go. So I'm always going to have a good spring because, I don't miss a sunrise, and that's kind of that was the whole objective here. But I will say Florida was great this year. We had phenomenal weather, cooperative turkeys, had a really good time down there. April was kind of funny. I've kind of heard that across the board. Everybody seemed, there was plenty of turkeys. I was in turkeys, but just acted a little weird. I don't know, spring just kind of, that progression kind of hit a little funny. But then it's like when that calendar flips to May, everything gets right in life, because May was as good as it's ever been. So we finished strong and always finish on top. So
there you go.
Wow. I don't know, 90 days, that's a lot of days.
Could you do it?
It'd be tough.
I'd have to go to sleep with dark every night. That's for sure.
Yes.
I think I finally want to try some of this May hunting.
Oh, yeah.
Go up north.
Well, you got about a week or 10 days in Alabama now that we didn't used to have.
Oh, the ticks are so much fun.
You would love it.
Snakes.
Yeah, that's Lyme's disease really bad up there, You can't get it down here much.
Well,
May is my month. That's when you'll notice with the Pinhoti Project, the uploads end at about the middle of April, because May's like, all right, I'm going to take a deep breath and I'm still going to video. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to worry about cutting video. I'm not going to worry about editing. I'm not going to worry about all that. May is my time to go. And a lot of that, I'm living out of the back of the truck. Like, I started this thing. I'm kind of a lone wolf, I guess you could say, when it comes to how I prefer to turkey hunt. So May is that month that I wash my hands a little of a lot of the responsibilities and just get to hunt.
Turn the hat backwards and get after
May's
it.
always my fun time.
Well, let's turn the page from turkey season. We're staring bow season right in the face.
Some
folks,
we're looking down the road a month, and some people get started early.
Yeah.
These velvet seasons are nice.
They are.
I forgot we do have that coming. Yeah.
So, Dave, it looks like you participated in Tennessee this year.
I did. That was a banner experience there for sure. I had I've went to Kentucky for years, and so I've always been a part of that early season stuff, but never. And I've killed a couple deer that had some velvet hanging from their antlers or a little bit stuck to the back. I killed an 8-pointer a couple years on video in Kentucky that had a little velvet stuck to the back of his antlers, but never a full velvet deer. So I always make a little annual pilgrimage up to Kentucky to do a little scouting, check fruit trees, grapes, do my normal, how the acorn's doing, that kind of thing. And I was on my way up, and my buddy Kerry Wicks, you guys I think know KB.
Oh, yeah.
And we'd done shared a tree a time or two during the spring. He's like, man, I've got a bumper crop of good deer, He didn't turn me on to no giant or nothing, but he's like, I got a bumper crop of good deer showing up in this bean field, and why don't you just stop in here and have at that field? Just kind of, this is your field. Do with it what you wish. There's a couple bachelor groups of pretty good bucks coming out in it. So I was like, don't tempt me with a good time is what I told him. So we stopped by, got there the day before the season opened, and man, it was fun. It's fun hunting deer that's on a pattern like that. And he had some bean fields, and those deer but it's also, interesting to me because from a distance, until you really get in there, you just think these deer are so patternable. They do the same thing. And they may do that for some people, but like we showed up and he's like, man, all he knows is he had a camera in the back of that field. So he's just kind of getting scans across the field, in the evenings. He's like, I see, some good bucks just, in the distance, or some of them were right in front of the camera. But I show up, and first evening they didn't show up. Second evening they didn't show up. So you're kind of like, all right, what happened? We went straight to sniffing around some white oak trees. Like, man, has one of these trees started dropping? Are they staging up? And so there's still quite a bit of strategy, that I was familiar with in early September that fell into place in that August hunt too. But at the end of the day, it was still the beans that was the main draw, and got in there and got lucky, I guess you could say. We lucked into my first velvet deer, and
Wow.
pretty proud of him.
Oh yeah, he looks
guess so.
great.
Yeah. So the first couple of nights, you think, what do you think was going on that you weren't seeing them? Were you losing faith or?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he and I both were like scratching our heads. He's like, man, those deer, I mean, it's August. They're on beans. Like it's the most predictable time probably of a whitetail's life. They're, they have this succulent food source, and we went in that first evening. It was to the point, it's like, I'm sure we'll be able to ease up on this field and see them out there, kind of get an idea on where they're entering the field. The biggest kicker was we had those north winds that came in that weekend, and you don't see that a lot in August. And it changed, everything went from, low 90s to low 80s for highs. So it was cool and it was nice. But I don't know if that's what caused the deer to kind of stall out there for a little bit or what it was, because, they just flat out didn't show. The first 2 evenings we were there, we didn't see any of the shooter deer. Saw one and had a heck of an encounter. The third evening, which was the second evening of the season, I had a really, really cool. You'll have to. As a matter of fact, I just sent that finished video over to Mossy Oak Go, so it's there for you to look at. But that one was a fun one. But then we was able to connect the next night. So anyway, it was good. It was my first experience with a velvet deer, and it was pretty doggone fun. I'll be back if he invites me. He might not invite me back.
So was it a bachelor group? Were there multiple bucks and you had to keep your composure there and pick out the right one?
There was a couple bachelor groups that had been frequenting the field, according to what he was able to infer from the trail cameras. But you can't bait in Tennessee, so it's just cameras over beans, more or less, and that's how he was, kind of determining what he had there. But the deer that I ended up killing was a loner. Every time he showed up, he's like, I'm noticing this deer's not with the others. I don't know if you'll see him. I've just got some pictures. I got like one good picture of him, and I think he had some pictures of him in the distance. But he's like, I think he's an old deer. He's a loner. He's not with these groups of bucks or whatnot. And sure enough, that just happens to be the one that wandered into the danger zone. So he was a really nice deer. We're going to try to find a spot on the wall for him since he was my first velvet one. So
surely
that's a whole
you can do
nother
that.
challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother challenge when you find a doggone deer on the ground. He's got velvet that you don't want to touch. You're like, I don't want to mess him up.
Right.
We got to load him up. He weighs 200 pounds. Like, how are we going to do that without touching his head?
Yeah, we're going to pick him up and carry him. Yeah.
We're going to carry him like a baby. Yeah.
And then you got to save $1,000 to get him mounted.
Yeah, exactly. But he's plenty of wall space. If not, we'll build another wall.
There you go.
I mean,
number 2 before us.
People might be interested to know, although I know the percentage of people going hunting are probably not going to necessarily kill one that they want to mount, but you got to do stuff to one killed in velvet. You can't just whatever.
What do you do? They're taxidermy.
Yeah, I guess if you get in the freezer really quick, but I had, we came back, actually we were trying to save a caribou that I killed a long time ago, and we had to get like embalming fluid in the needles and inject the horns all through that to save, because it's actually living flesh. So is anything special you had to do, or do you just
I made some immediate calls to some folks in the know, like my buddy Tanner over at Full Draw Taxidermy. He does a lot of stuff for me, all the turkey stuff for me, and he's like, just get it cold quick.
Okay.
Get it cold, keep it cold. So we had to drive an hour and a half to find a deer cooler because we wanted to get him cool quick, but at the same time we wanted to take some pictures and shooting him at night, and wanted to take pictures the next morning, so we had to go get him into a deer cooler. But he said there's some stuff that you can spray on them. He said, but if you can get them cool quick enough, you should be fine. And also, I think there's a difference, because if it was like succulent, like velvet, like it was still had a lot of blood going to it, but by now the velvet's really tight on the deer's horns. I guess it's, they're fixing to lose the velvet, or so it was really tight to the deer's horns. So it wasn't, because he asked me, like, grab the horn, is it moving around the horns? Like, is the velvet like really tight to the horns? Or so I guess there's different stages, and some of them are a little bit more important to, like you said, in balm, or because I've heard the same thing about injecting to try to somewhat preserve the flesh, because it's just flesh that's got a ton of blood in it. So I guess the other thing is, if you're just going to do a Euro mount, you're going to end up just putting it out in a room. I don't think that's another thing. If you just freeze that and then do the Euro, you still might lose it. I think there's something taxidermists do, and I'm just wondering what the guy doing it himself and cleaning it off and bleaching the skull and all. I think you will lose the velvet if you don't do something. That's all I was getting at. Yeah, I think they freeze dry it, from what I was told. Is if you want to do something like that, the best way to do it is freeze drying the velvet. Because it was a guy where we took the deer to that was a taxidermist, and he was talking about the velvet and stuff, and he's talking about, because I inquired about that. I was like, what if I just wanted a Euro? Because that's my favorite thing to do with deer. I like Euro mounts.
Too.
I mean,
so pretty.
Me too.
That's what I've got around the house. It's but he's like, there's two things about that with a velvet. First off, probably going to charge you more than a mount if I was doing it for you, because it is a pain in the rear. Because you got to, basically the only way to do it is to saw the antlers off to keep them away from when you boil the head, and then reattach the antlers. Because I guess getting that velvet that close to that boiling water and stuff.
Yeah.
I guess you have to like freeze dry the velvet on the antlers. He's like, it's more time consuming than mounting the deer.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know.
And secondly, if you have a European mount, the way you handle European mounts is like you hold them by the antlers when you take them from room to room. He said when you got velvet, you don't want to handle the velvet that much, so it's kind of a pain to even touch them, because unless you're just going to put it on the wall and not touch it, the velvet's always going to end up compromised, because that's the way you pick a European mount up to move it. So
yeah.
Well, so are you doing a full mount on him?
Yeah, I'm probably just going to shoulder mount him. Yeah, and this is funny. The way I reason getting another shoulder mount is because I bought one of those double hangers. I can't remember who makes them, but they're the ones that go on the wall, and you can put two deer heads on one
skull
mount, more or less. Yeah. I have one of those, and I tried to. One of my existing mounts is faced the wrong way, so I'm like, oh, it don't look right on that double hanger, so I'll just get another deer mounted.
There you go.
Right pose. You know what I mean? So that just gives me a reason to mount another one in the correct pose, so that hanger will be utilized.
I knew, Bobby, I knew you had something coming.
Yeah, y'all
with
must
it.
be cousins or something.
So those a deer in velvet this time of year, though, they have the hair is a little thinner, and they're beautiful mounts.
Summer coat.
You'll be really pleased with that.
Yep.
Yeah, they look so unique.
Yep, they are. And I noticed that when I was caping him, and I was trying my best not to, usually when you're caping a deer, it's not a big deal. They got that big thick coat and whatnot, but this one was so thin, as he was losing his summer coat. He had about half of his winter coat in. As a matter of fact, like when he come out in the field, he was gray already, where everybody else in the field was still red. And so I drew my eyes to him immediately, and then his body size was just huge compared to everybody else in the field. And you didn't really notice it until he was out there. And so, anyways, when I was caping him out, I was like, man, this is thin, and I need to be careful not to nick this thing, because there's not a lot of extra hair here to hide little, slice marks in his cape. So we tried to be careful to get a good specimen for the wall.
What did he weigh?
We didn't put him on the scale. We assumed probably 200 pounds.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can honestly say when we clean that deer, the amount of fat, like I don't hunt ag country deer very often. The deer that I hunt is usually mountain deer and living off acorns and whatnot. But that one was the first one in a while. And, man, the amount of fat on those deer that live on those soybeans all summer, it's insane. I couldn't believe it. Literally like inches worth above his hips and his back straps. I mean, they were. It was incredible.
You know, we podcasted with Mark from Southeast Whitetail a couple years ago, and he was talking about how the fat on a deer is actually good to eat at that time of year. Mm-hmm. And we kind of thought he was crazy, but he said
the kidney fat, I was told, is the best, and it's also the best sign of health.
Yes, the indicator. I know Bronson's talked about that, the kidney fat.
Yeah. You know, all those South Carolina folks get that early season as well. Mm-hmm. And he was saying when he, you know, cuts his deer up, he leaves the fat on the meat.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I've never really enjoyed it, but I'd like to try it on a really early deer.
That's just anecdotal totally, but it feels like to me that we kill some deer that are fat like that because we do have some ag around here. And even for us, when they, you know, those acorns will put fat on them too. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it seems like that's a better tasting piece of venison than, because you do get this time of year, we've had a severe drought that nothing's fallen yet, and it's all of a sudden tough. I mean, you can tell when the deer come up and start eating everything around all the shrubs around my house and in my garden. Right, they don't have much to eat, and it gets tough this time of year. You'll kill does; they look really malnourished sometimes, and it doesn't seem to be quite as good as if you get a fat one been on beans or something.
So, hey, Dudley, you heard him say he was traveling to Kentucky, and he goes to Kentucky a lot. I wanted to ask you, how do you pronounce the capital of Kentucky? Is it Louisville or Louisville?
Okay, so that's difficult because we have a Louisville nearby, 30 minutes south of Starkville, and up there it's Louisville.
Yeah. So, Toxie, how do you pronounce the capital of Kentucky?
I think isn't it LEX, Lexington?
Oh, so it's
Frankfurt.
Frankfurt.
Yeah.
So
I know it's not Louisville.
Trick question. Okay, yeah.
All right, I didn't want to get you with that.
Trick question.
You wouldn't have got me with that.
Dave, you see how sometimes Dudley, he's just like a layup waiting on a place to happen. So.
What's the scientific name for cherry bark oak?
Ooh, Quercus.
Quercus something. I don't know, Dudley.
I'm not worried about where a capital is.
Okay.
Well, there you go. He's worried about
he knows
what
the
acres
important
are.
things.
Right.
Do you know the scientific name of any oaks?
Albus, Quercus albus.
Yeah,
that is one.
Almost, yeah.
Alba.
You don't have the S on it.
Alba. You missed that too.
All right. So, Dave, I wanted to ask you, I'm seeing, we've got a bumper crop of muscadines this year.
We
Yes.
do.
I'm seeing deer all under them
And
all
persimmons.
day long.
Where? At your house?
No, I can't tell you where.
Just drop us a pin on
The
that.
Ponderosa. There's only other one spot.
Yeah, the Ponderosa.
So you're spending all your time over there. No wonder we don't see you in the office anymore.
All right, y'all have already ruined two of my rapid fire
we
questions.
should rapid
but
fire is exactly what we should do.
I will say
You're right.
that muscadine is an unsung hero, and people need to know more about it.
I've
For
never noticed them eating it as much.
these velvet seasons, early seasons.
I've got muscadine rash right now where a vine got me this weekend.
Yeah. Are you seeing the same thing? Is that something you key in on, Dave?
I've tried muscadines. I've always found when by the time season gets in, they're for the most part ate up or already dropped and eaten up pretty well.
They don't leave them alone.
So I haven't. I've found that I've killed some deer over muscadines, but it was more or less like an opportunistic thing. I didn't find them seeking the grapes out, like I have persimmons. Persimmons has been my go-to the last couple early seasons is finding big, 3 or 4 trees together that have a big crop that always seem to be green right now, but I can go ahead and put a camera on them. And I always know when those persimmons are ripe and starting to drop because the activity just blows up on those cameras. Cameras will sit there dormant more or less, and then all of a sudden it just starts blowing up. So that's kind of my strategy when it goes into early season is kind of trying to see into the future, figure out where the deer are going to be. Because to me, early season deer don't seem to, at least the deer that I hunt that are in the woods primarily, don't seem to be in one place very long. They'll grab a food source and it'll be ate up within, a handful of days, and they move on to something to kind of just drift. So I always try to see into the future and either find those fruit trees and kind of put a camera on them or something to try to let me know exactly when the right time to pounce is. I just haven't had any of that type of success over muscadines.
It just seems like these drought years, and a lot of times we get them as the beginning of both season, that they crave the persimmons even more. And they're so juicy and full of moisture too. I think they crave that more than a dry acorn or corn or something like that.
I would think so.
So, I mean, I agree with you. And it's also, you can find them in very, very safe places. And they might actually be around a little bit of moisture and a little water hole type thing too.
Sure. Yeah, and they're always around. Seems like they're right on the fringes of that thick vegetation that they're using for security cover.
Yes.
So that's always helpful. But see, it's a little bit of a curveball this year for me, at least, the way I've approached early season the last handful of years, because this spring was wetter than we've had, at least in that area of the country, even around home here. It was a wet spring. So I think that's got a lot more that succulent vegetation still available in the timber to where usually this time of year it's already senesced and it's dry. So these deer are seeking out succulent vegetation, and I've found them a lot around, water's edge, and even eating the algae and whatever else they're eating out of below the water surface in the ponds, and then, like you said, those persimmons and stuff that you find around those same kind of areas. This year doesn't seem to be as many deer doing that, and I'm contributing it to being a wet spring, so I'm assuming there's still quite a bit of food inside the cover of the timber. Maybe that's the only thing that I'm reasoning anyway. So.
Persimmons are pretty dependable. Every year they're going to make fruit, aren't? Do they take a break every now and then?
They're hit and miss. A lot of these wild persimmons overproduce, and they'll have branches break. And that may set them back for the next year. But it seems like they produce every year, but they go in between having a bumper crop and a.
Well, you've been chasing them down 20 plus years now, and have you not noticed that there's just certain trees?
Yep.
That are consistently more, and I realize they're in a good soil and they're good, they got a big canopy and plenty of sunshine, but there's got to be we've always tried to pick ones, and we go back to the same ones.
Oh, yeah, the one we collect from in town here is very...
every year. I've got one in my backyard drops every year.
Fruits.
I mean, and fairly prolific every year. You're right. Some years it's crazy, and it might break a few branches, but it puts out and it's the only one of my whole...
The old trampoline persimmon.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And they're male and female, right? So they don't necessarily all produce.
They really do vary a lot from individual to individual.
Bobby, what's the scientific...
Lanny, our favorite one in town.
Yeah.
Every year.
It begins dropping in October, and it stops dropping in December. Mm-hmm. It is a slow, long duration of drop.
Perfect.
Very heavy fruiter too.
And then, a lot of them, especially here in the South, they will completely drop before October 1st, which is when a lot of archery starts. Mm-hmm. And so, you got to walk around or drive around, and you can find some really unique individuals.
Probably one of our most popular trees we sell for sure. So I got a question for you.
I don't know the scientific now.
So what is the scientific term for a plant being male or female?
Deciduous.
Close.
Tell them.
Dilicious or something like that.
Dioecious,
Look at you.
Wow.
Okay. So can you help a listener like me to, if you were going to look for a persimmon, would you look at the bottom of the hill, halfway up the hill, the top of the hill? Where would you start?
Well, that's one cool thing about persimmons is they're so site plastic. I mean, Toxie just mentioned, I think, sometimes they'll be growing out of the side of a pond.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And half of their root system isn't even there because that's water, but the root system will grow uphill. I've seen them growing right next to cypress trees, and I've also seen them growing on top of the nastiest, most eroded ridge top on a fence row.
I'm not sure. Is it? You think it's because you see around here we got a lot of flatlands in the bottom, and they'll be around like what Daddy would call a wet weather pond, which will dry up and then get wet. But you think that's because like more raccoons, because they do have to be scarified to germinate, don't they? So usually like something eats them and poops them out. Is that the primary way?
I think so, and that's usually why you find them on fence rows.
Right, exactly.
And,
I'm wondering about the ponds. Is that because they like it better, or because maybe that's where raccoons have been looking for something to eat?
I think it's a little bit of both. Right there on the edge of a pond is kind of a natural protection area. A bush hog isn't going to accidentally run over it.
True.
Things like that.
But I've seen some giant ones like pine tree big out away, you know, up on a little ridge or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get big. And that bark is so distinguishable too.
They have a finicky root system that does not like to be disturbed.
Yes.
So even on poor soils, it's almost like they're in a little protected area, you know, where an old fence row is and equipment can't, maybe tucked into the corner of a fence.
I noticed a lot of them in the just hardwoods that we don't disturb at all, but they'll die a lot quicker than other trees.
I found those that I find in big timber like that. They don't produce a lot of fruit. They're not very prolific.
Well, they don't have
They
they don't have enough canopy.
Yeah, they seem to just grow a little bit slower than everybody around them. And it seems like when you do find a big one in the woods, it's oftentimes a male. And my theory on that is that it's not using a bunch of energy to make fruits. And so it can compete better.
Right. Yep.
That would explain what I'm finding.
But to find a female in the middle of big woods that's loaded down, that's like incredibly rare.
Can you really make them morph?
There's
old tale where you
there's some old timers and stuff that say you can, you know, drive a bunch of nails into a male or, you know, almost kill it. And it, I've even read it in the literature that,
You hadn't successfully done it yet though.
no, I've never really tried. I mean,
You know, like where the
does seem
camp
like
is
when
down
the
there,
fence
Dave's
rows.
been down there where at Shamula, there, you know, I was all excited years ago when we first bought it and I was looking at there was just groves of maybe 20, 30 or more persimmons. And they had, I still remember they're very, very silvery bark compared to what I was used to seeing. And none of them ever produced a single persimmon. And I guess they were just all males maybe.
yeah, I think a lot of times, when persimmons get disturbed, when they get cut down or, you know, a logging event happens, what you're seeing is a bunch of root sprouts. So it's probably the same tree. It's the same individual.
I got you.
And you see these clumps of 15 persimmons when in reality it's just one tree.
That makes sense.
So that would be why they would all be males or all be females in one spot.
What about crab apples, Dave? Have you ever all these states you travel, you ever run into crab apples?
You know, it's funny you mention that because the specific area that I typically spend a lot of time in Kentucky, I was told if you find a crabapple tree, for some reason that's the draw. That's the one. And I have in my many miles of walking there, I have found one, and it was loaded with fruit, and I ain't found a deer on it. So I don't know if I just got some bad information or maybe just that specific tree, but I've only found one in that area. Now I have found them. I haven't hunted over enough of them to really have an opinion on, you know, is it a bow season draw or I don't even know if I've ever even killed a deer over a crab apple. I have found them, but I've never, you know, it's always been persimmons for me.
Yeah. Doxy, what about you? Crab apples? Have you had?
No, I've never been. There's not that many around here, and I mean, they're at the golf course and places like that. But I've never really successfully grown one that I could have in a bow hunting spot myself. So I would say no. I've been around persimmons like Dave more than anything because we just had them naturally. I've been a few places that have like a pretty good area of the grapes, and deer just migrate like crazy for a week or two to them, and then they don't go there anymore. But no, a soft mass persimmon would be king for me for sure.
We've got several different varieties of crabapple now, don't we? Are they
Yeah,
site-specific?
we've got one that's native to, you know, closer to the coast, the southern crab, and I've been in South Mississippi and seen them in the wild. And then we've got prairie crab, which is Malus ioensis. It's more of a Midwestern.
Bobby was just fixing
Crab.
to say that.
He was trying to interject that.
It was on the tip of his tongue.
That's probably the one Dave ran into.
Yeah.
And there's it could be Malus coronaria, which folks call sweet crab, and it's kind of intermediate between the southern crab and the prairie crab.
That native fruit is so cool. Sorry.
We're very close to going down a rabbit hole that'd take us for hours talking about, because I was just thinking about Judley talking to people about establishing a plot. And, you know, then I'm going to jump in there and go have my little sermon about diversity, you know, because if you had a crabapple plot you had developed with some diversity, you know, 2 or 3 or 4 types he just described, and then you've got something going on for an extended period, You got something. You got something special.
Yeah, the main thing apples
raw.
apples have going against them is the fact that we have so many more cedars than we did a couple hundred years ago when people were still actually using fire on a landscape scale.
Right.
Nowadays we have so many cedar trees that they've always carried this cedar apple rust disease. It's just there hadn't been enough cedars to spread it.
Dudley, why don't you go ahead and let's do our rapid fire with Dave.
All right, I know Dave has been looking forward to this.
Yeah. Rapid fire. Lanny, rapid fire. Who's bringing us?
Nutrient Ag Solutions.
All right, Dave, just try to answer these quick. We're going to get to know you a little better. So are you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, fixed or mechanicals?
Fixed.
Allergic to poison ivy, yes or no?
No.
Describe the first buck you ever had shoulder mounted.
Oh, man. He's an acorn-tipped 8-pointer, about 100 inches worth.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah, hit the horns on that, Mitchell.
What is the most miles you've ever put on a vehicle?
Ooh, I think I've had 360 something on that little 96 4-banger Toyota Tacoma I used to have.
Heck yeah.
What about in 1 year? Can I ask that?
Oh, yeah.
What about the most in 1 year?
Oh, I don't know. I'm going to guess probably in the 35, 40 range. Nothing crazy.
That's a lot of
All right, here's what we were talking about. Name a favorite mast tree to hunt early-ish in the season.
I think we've answered that one, haven't we?
Have you seen a turkey from the deer stand yet this season?
This season? No, I didn't see any this past weekend.
Okay.
Carrie's got those all tied up.
Yeah, he's got them in his.
You'd be the top 10. I wouldn't trust being around my turkeys too. So I don't blame. Probably top 1.
Do you often take the time to age your deer meat, or it's good enough for me just to get it in the freezer?
Yeah, we usually age it for at least a week.
All right.
Unless we eat it right off the deer like we did these back straps. So.
Name a favorite natural snack from the woods or the fields.
Oh.
It's going to have to be. I like muscadine, but scupperdines. You guys.
Oh, the bronze ones.
Yep.
Yeah, the bronze ones. Yep.
Chest freezer or standing freezer?
Chest freezer.
Do you shoot your bow year round? Yes or no?
No.
Currently, would you rather hunt a dove opener or go on a deer hunt with your buddies?
Oh, I'm going to choose a deer. Yeah.
Okay. And last but not least, can you crank a cold chainsaw by the third pull? Yes or no?
It depends on the name brand chainsaw, really. Is it a Husky? Is it a Steel? Or is it some kind of Ryobi thing? I don't. I've had some.
Let's go with a Steel.
Yeah, go with
Yeah, I want to say I could get a Steel going in 3.
Okay, so better than Bobby.
Yeah.
No, okay.
Okay, good. All right, that's it.
Why am I keep getting...
You've got
Turned
that.
on him first. You've
got that
nailing
bull
him on the Kentucky.
You've got that bullseye painted on.
Yeah. It happened today.
So absolutely by the third pull, Dave. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to go back to one of your first questions you asked him, fixed or mechanical. Have you much experience with mechanicals? What kind of led you to the fix? What do you like about the fix?
I just kind of jumped on the bandwagon of the heavy FOC. Not heavy. I'm not one of these extreme guys. I think I shoot an arrow that's like 475 grains or so, which is I just shoot like 62 pounds, so I don't pull a whole ton of weight. But I shot a lot of expandables back in the day. I shot like the Rocket Hammerheads, which is a big expandable 3-blade, and then I went the Rage route. And I just have a tendency of aiming in the shoulder. Like that's just what I do. And I'm aware of that. That combined with hunting from a saddle and hunting in the fashion that I hunt, which is typically I only hunt a tree one time. I'm always in somewhere new. There's no shooting lanes cut. I'm hunting public land where you can't do that. So a lot of times, and especially throwing in the video aspect of when you kind of guess where the deer is going to be, get the video camera there, draw your bow. When the deer gets there, need to shoot it there. So if he turns quartering to you, I just like having a equipment that can handle that. And that's bailed me out 2 times now. And I've had it almost bite me. 2019 as a video, first ungulate video. I don't even know if I was calling it ungulate then, but I killed a deer in Kentucky, shot it at like 3 yards, extremely vertical, straight down, and I was still using the rage heads and shot it between the shoulder blades, basically straight down. And with that setup, barely got enough penetration. Luckily, had to call a dog in, but we recovered the deer. But from that day forward, I was like, with the nature that I hunt and kind of having to take some awkward shot angles due to not, hunting over a lot of fields and stuff, I need to shoot a penetration head. I need to shoot a setup that allows for maximum penetration. And that's when I went to shooting these, the little single bevel iron wheel heads. They're only like a 1-inch cut, but they are extremely tough. And the deer I killed in Indiana this past fall, same situation, went in way high in the shoulder, come out. He was so vertical, it didn't even come out the offside. It come out in the center of his sternum, more or less. But I think I would have been in a bind had I been still shooting like a big over-the-top expandable or something. So that setup kind of bailed me out there and gave me that penetration that I needed to get an exit out the bottom, to get a blood trail to follow him. And same situation with this deer that I killed this past weekend. He was quartering to. One of those situations, I already had the camera on him. He was fixing to walk out of my shooting opportunity there, and had to go in kind of quartering to, high in the shoulder, and it gave me penetration all the way through the deer. Another one of those situations. And I've got video evidence of my dad. He was still shooting the rage heads back when we were shooting. I think it was rage that he was shooting, and shot a deer, a really big deer, in Oklahoma, right in the point of the shoulder, kind of dead in the shoulder, and just the deer was on camera that night, chasing does. Just didn't get the penetration. But that was also due to some light arrow setups and stuff that back when we started this thing, you shot just enough arrow to not dry fire your bow, because you wanted to light that chronograph up. You wanted to see those feet per second jump up at 300 or close or over even. So we weren't paying attention to penetration or arrow momentum or all that kind of stuff. So that's a long-winded explanation of what caused me to jump on that whole fixed head bandwagon. So,
Well,
great explanation.
I mean, it sounds like the right explanation for what you're doing.
Yeah, for what you're doing, sure.
I'm sure there's examples of where it would be the exact opposite, for a lot of our listeners. It just really depends on your scenario and your situation.
So I want jumping back to something you said. So you're only hunting, a particular food source one time and then rolling on?
Very typically, I'm only in a tree one time. I hunt with my setup on my back. When I come out of the tree, it comes out with me. I'm usually trying to wait to the perfect opportunity and going in there. And obviously, it's situation specific. But yeah, very rarely am I in the same tree more than one time. There's always at least some type of little bit of shift necessary for the wind or whatever. Like this past weekend, I hunted within 25 yards of where I hunted the evening before, but because the wind had shifted a little bit more out of the west instead of out of the northwest, I had to make a little bit of a shift so that my wind wouldn't be, intersecting as much of the field that these deer were going to be coming out in. So, here again, when you climb a different tree every time you go up, there's your shooting opportunities are just what God give you. Mm-hmm. So there's typically not a lot of big paved or trimmed shooting lanes and whatnot. So that's another reason that I have found that fixed heads kind of allow me to kind of make a shot in situations where otherwise may not be possible.
Mm-hmm. So you're having to anticipate where you think that deer is going to be when you to take that shot, and you're going ahead and focusing the camera on a certain area.
That's the biggest. Wow. That's the biggest thing is when you're self-filming, you got to see it happen before it happens. So, when they do something out of that you didn't expect, it's definitely a curve. As a matter of like I'm sure they'll get it up on Mossy Oak Go probably today. But the hunt for Saturday evening, when you come to draw on a deer and he's at 5 yards and you've got the camera focused at 5 yards and you draw your bow and the deer sees you and blows and bounces off to 40 yards, like most situations, that wouldn't be a big deal. You just go to the next pin down and let it eat. But when you're trying to video it and you're already at full draw, you can see the situation that I ran into there. Like I'm trying to move a camera with my elbow at full draw. That's a pretty difficult endeavor I've figured out. So, but yeah, that self-filming thing is, it's a bear in its own right, like totally separate from just getting in bow range of a whitetail. And then trying to outguess him. It adds a definite difficulty level there.
Yeah, I mean, you're making 2 bold moves instead of 1.
Yeah,
every single time.
Yeah, I know I wouldn't. I'm no good at that.
Lanny would be. I'll just get it next time.
We'll get it next time. We fix it.
And I've tried to put me some safety nets in there. Like I've now, same way with my shotgun in turkey season, I've attached like a camera to the barrel of the shotgun. I've now got a camera on the stabilizer of my bow. It's kind of like those worst case scenarios.
Yeah.
Like as long as I remember to turn the flipping thing on, which is a chore that I've failed at miserably here lately. But if I do have a fallback plan to try to at least get something when it comes to the actual shot. So
I'd have been all fallback, that's for sure.
Lanny, you got another question? You know, sometimes you don't get to ask a lot of questions. Have you got another one?
I just zoned in on that specific one, but it's very interesting to you making those micro adjustments with the wind and the food source, and like you're saying, having to predict, not only for the shot but for the camera. That's a lot.
Funny, you said one thing that I don't do it much anymore. I'm getting old, so I don't. But I used to hunt with a climber all the time.
Yeah,
and I knew an area pretty good where we had a little club I was in or a place we leased, and I literally would just knew I was going to scope a certain area, and I'd go in and find and just climb. As soon as I found hot sign, climb right there. And what I was getting at, I almost always had my very best hunt when I used a climber the very first time I hunted it.
I agree.
And it seemed not 100%, but definitely a big trend in that.
I'm pretty sure.
The very first time I hunted it. And so I not as religious as you about hunting one spot and moving on, but I definitely made a big deal out of being sure the first time was what I really weighed and did it right and everything for, because it was almost always.
It does seem like that.
Yeah,
First time's
I
good.
think that's an actual statistic. The first time you hunt a stand is the best time.
Yeah.
And I said that not meaning that I don't ever hunt the same. I may hunt the same area, more than once, or may even hunt the same tree, but typically there's always a slight adjustment that's necessary, because like I'll hone in like a doe bedding area. And so I'm looking like at a map, I'm just looking at an area. And so I always, very seldom do I have the tree in mind that I'm going to sit in. So I'm looking at an area, looking at topography features or like some topo lines or whatever. I'm like, I want to be at about this level on the ridge side. So I kind of walk in with my stuff on my back, and I'm picking that tree, at the time that I'm actually showing up. I don't have anything prepared beforehand. So oftentimes it's the first time I've ever even been in there.
Right.
And so I'm just kind of having to kind of ad lib, I guess you'd call it, just as I, just come in there and go. But a lot of that also has to do with entry and exit. How bad do I think I stunk a place up? Like if I feel like I can slip in, and I've got a couple spots that I'll hunt a lot because the entry and exit's just so foolproof. Like I can slip in there with deer there, even whether it be like a pond dike or something like that I can literally get in a tree.
A dry creek
in bow range.
A dry creek is really
bed,
cool.
Those steep drains.
Yep.
A lot of times, but often I'm just kind of charging into a place. So after I've hunted it one time, I feel like I probably just stunk it up. So even if I hunt the same area, I usually approach it from a different angle.
Are you hanging all day, going in morning, going in midday, or?
Yeah, starting Thanksgiving, typically. I mean, not Thanksgiving, starting Halloween until Thanksgiving. If I'm in a tree, it's typically all day. Like I'm going there.
Wow.
The days are so doggone short.
Right.
And I'm usually going in, and I'm there all day. And that's just, here again, I'm so just paranoid about the entry and exit. Once I'm up there, I'm like, all right, the hard part's over.
Yeah.
Like, let me enjoy this. Let me let everything settle down. Let me really see how deer move through here and what's coming through this area. So, and some of that has to do with laziness too, to be honest. Like some of these walks or some of this stuff I go through, I'm like, man, I've already done it once today. I ain't doing it twice.
Yeah.
Like I'm doing it one time in, one time out. So, but yeah, I do a lot of all day sitting now when it comes to the rut hunting stuff.
Yeah.
So have you ever prepped a place for the entry exit when you find it, and since you've disturbed it the one time finding it, have you take a leaf blower or rake, pull limbs and stuff out, or try to make it where you can get it in and out quieter? Have you ever done that?
I have not to that extreme, but I have. If I find a spot that I'm scouting and I find it, and I'm like, oh, this is definitely like a big social hub scrape or something that I find, I'm like, oh, this is going to get some time. I will go ahead and like, okay, what's going to be? Where do I think the deer are going to be, and how can I get in and out of here? And I'll kind of make mental notes, like, okay, I can walk this creek bed,
right,
and even though it may be a little longer, I think I can stay on these rocks and make a lot less noise. Stay in this drain, which will kind of keep my scent low and keep it contained, and also keep my sound, because a lot of times during, like where I hunt with the big woods and big open hardwoods and stuff, the doggone noise during that time of year is just, unless it has rained like that morning, like the leaves are so doggone crunchy. And I just feel like I might as well just drove in there in a side-by-side and probably been, made less disturbance. By the time you walk all the way in there, I just feel like I've blown everything. And it's proven time and time again to not be a big deal. I try to sound like a deer, to sound like a raccoon or something going in, But, so I've gotten up in those trees after traipsing through those soft, it was 2022. I just remember like it was a drought, and I was going in there. It was, around that Thanksgiving time, and I was hunting Kentucky, and I just had probably about a 250-yard walk through the hardwoods, and it just sounded, the leaves seemed like they were 2 foot thick. Mm-hmm. And I was walking in there, and it sounded like I was dragging a plow behind me. And I was like, oh, this is never going to work. And I didn't even get set good. And you can hear the deer from that far too. And here they came, and it was a big rut day. I just kind of found myself in the right spot, and a bunch of bucks were running and going crazy. And I was like, man, I would have never believed this would have happened within the hour that I just walked through this bottom and felt like I turned the place on its head. But
that rut's good.
A friend of my dad and a friend of his both had a saying that I had never heard anyone else before. He said, "You're wasting your time trying to get there, son. You're going to sound like a pregnant elephant walking on cornflakes."
Yeah. And it just seems like, man, during that time of year too, the mornings are so doggone quiet.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
It's like it can be breezy all night, and it'll be breezy right after daylight. But that moment that I've tried to walk into the woods, it seems like everything falls flat every time. Mm-hmm. And I wake up in camp, and I get out the truck or whatever I'm doing, and I'm like, all right, we got a nice little breeze this morning to be able to slip in. Because it always seems like those mornings that I have a good entry, like I'm able to slip in, whether it was some rain noise or wind noise, it seems like are the best mornings, or at least my confidence is better, which probably has more to do with it than anything. But,
the big picture thing about all of this is, like, I think for all deer hunting, not just assassin bow hunters like you, the most overlooked, neglected thing is the approach. And, how do you learn stuff? Well, I screwed it up so many times over my life. Yep. It's like, and people would ask me if I could just get to the stand, and it doesn't matter if it's like a shooting house, in a green field or a food plot. If I could get to the stand without anybody knowing I got there, it's amazing how much better hunt I have. Mm-hmm. And so I guess the big thing is so many people just go haphazardly and don't pay attention to that. And all the great ones, and I put you right there with them, deer too. And just like Mark, look at what Mark Drury, he's the most anal about getting to a stand without, I've never known him. He's worse than you. But that's what I was. Yeah, I was thinking
to say. He came to mind when you were saying that.
Oh, my gosh.
And all of his publications or all of his video content, like he stresses more about the entry and the exit into the stand than about the setup itself.
100%. I'm just saying something for everybody to think about. Everybody do their own thing how you want to, but If you're frustrated sometimes, think about that approach, because even someone going again, and it goes as far as people planting like cover crops so they can, like, they might plant standing corn and don't even get corn out of it, or they, could play something else tall. They mow a strip that hides them getting to the stand, Think about it in your own way to be able to get to the stand without being detected. Now, getting out too. But if you mess it up going in, you're not going to have any luck from the hunt,
That's why one of the main things I like about, I hunt by water a lot, by kayak or by boat or whatnot.
That's awesome.
That's a sole reason, not to mention like hot early season stuff. It's hard to hike 3 miles and even want to. So the water access has really been a game changer for me, but it's mostly that I've always found game along waterways and tight to water, bedding tight to water, thick cover tight to water. And so it just made sense. Like when I started using water access, it was easier on the back, but it was also that whole getting in there. I have hunted right over the top of my kayak before. And if I can get right up beside my tree, then I'll risk them seeing the kayak just due to me having to take less steps between the bank of the river and the tree that I'm going to climb, because I feel like it's stealth mode when you're able to do that.
Sage words.
Yeah, it's wild, reading the forums and checking socials, especially like the public land crew, bragging about how quiet they are and how close they can get to a deer and set up. And that may be their only opportunity at that deer, that may stand up and move 30 or 40 yards before they get shot. And there's folks that are doing that.
Mm-hmm. So, Dave, we asked our listeners for some questions, and there's the one question that everybody seems to ask here, and just wanted to get your thoughts on it. But there's two things. What sign are you really keying in on early in bow season? And then how do you go about setting up your cameras? What's your thought process in setting up your cameras for early bow season?
We touched on it earlier, I think, but I'm trying to see into the future. It's a little bit backwards from the way I do like rut sign, when everything transitions to like scrapes and trail intersections, to where I'm just trying to get an area that sees a lot of cruising deer. Early season, I'm trying to foresee what the deer are going to hit before they hit it. Because like I said, where I hunt, I don't feel like deer do the same thing for a month. I think they may hit this food source for say 4 days out of a week, and then they'll be on to something different. So I'm trying to find either, like we talk about, persimmon trees, or maybe even grapes, or white oaks. Like this year, it's going to be extremely challenging, because every flipping white oak tree I've seen is absolutely loaded. Loaded. So you can always try to find the first one, but I always have questions. Is it really the first one? Because, it seems like when you hunt big woods, you can't look at all of them. But, I've, as a matter of fact, I dropped a camera this past week on some big clear cut, and there just happened to be, I think, 3 white oaks, and every one of them was loaded. And there was probably a handful of acorns on the ground, not a lot, but I just kind of looked into the future. I said, man, this is so tight to thick cover. When they do start dropping, if they're even remotely toward the front half of the amount of trees that start dropping, I think it's going to see a lot of activity. So I'm just setting up cameras on food primarily, before the food becomes attractive to them. Like I said, I've got a handful of persimmon trees and we just talked about, they're pretty reliable. I have noticed this year where in the years past, those persimmons have been like big, like, $50 size. This year, there's still persimmons on the trees, but they're not nearly as big. They're, quarter size, maybe at the biggest. I don't know why that would be. Dudley may be able to answer that for me, but for some reason, the trees that have been loaded with big persimmons this year, they have them, but they're just smaller. I didn't find a single tree that had big fruit. But I just set cameras on those, kind of foreseeing that when they do start dropping, they're going to see some activity, and the camera is going to let me know if it's the deer that I want to go in there to hunt. I'm trying to think. Like I said, I do key in if it's a drought year, I'll key in on water or succulent vegetation. Like I've found that little green grass and stuff that'll grow in a wet hole. deer seem to target, because acorns, it's just so hard to just key in on acorns when there's so many of them. When you're hunting in big timber like that, there's always going to be, and you can always find the bedding covers. Typically what I find is a limited resource when it comes to big deer, older deer. And you can find, acorns in close proximity to that thick bedding cover and possibly get an early season deer that's slipping out of there. But by the time it starts even getting close to the rut, middle of October or whatnot, those deer are moving out of that security cover that they've spent the summer in and already starting to stage up with the does and that, big open timber. They bed in big open timber just on those ridge points and stuff. So he'll be kind of a little less, I can't find them as reliably as far as, as that goes. Cause I found myself not outguessing them quite as consistently in that situation, but
yeah, that's tough. That's tough in the big woods when there's a white oak every 50 yards for 6 square miles.
Yeah, and they all start dropping at the same time. So, back on the cameras, how many cameras are you running?
Usually about a dozen. Now this year I've upped that because I plan to drop them in a couple different states.
Yeah.
Which I have not done yet because we're still so early here in September.
Yeah.
I dropped about, between my dad and I think we dropped about 20 cameras last week.
Yeah.
And just nothing new, really, just kind of going back to those, that's one
those spots.
Advantage to having history is you kind of know where those fruit trees are. And that's essentially what we're targeting is just those fruit trees and that super early season stuff. But I killed some deer in the early season the past couple of years, but it's not been like an opening day kind of thing because I think what I have kind of found is we're in areas that it takes some pressure to put the deer there. And that's just, I think, because when I found them the first time, they were already there.
Yeah.
And so I keyed in on them thinking that that's where they lived. And I found over the past couple of years, it's after that first week of bow season that the deer kind of move into the areas that I'm familiar with. I'm taking that into the pressure starts to hit. So those deer kind of make a little bit of a shift. So
if you like been sneaking into one of those historical spots before and go to put your camera out and then there was another camera there?
Not yet. I'm expecting it when you release video content like I do, and kind of show all your cards. I'm like, yeah, this will be the year that there's going to be a camera on every tree.
Yeah.
I've expected it, but haven't run into that yet. There's some places that I bumped into cameras, but and that happens more in the rut time when I'm kind of transitioning stuff to like saddles and things that are very apparent through like topography maps because we're all looking at the same maps, right? So, and I'm like, man, that's a really pronounced saddle. I guarantee those deer are using that. And I get there and there's already a camera. I'm like, yeah, we're thinking the same thing. And it's funny how I can see where a camera is sit, and I'm like, there's a real one in here hunting. Like there's somebody that's kind of got know what's going on for them to set a camera right there and the fashion that they set the camera. And, I can find a trail camera and go, I ain't worried about that guy.
Yeah.
I just see the way they threw it on a tree and stuff. I'm like, I'm not worried about it. It's not pointed in the right places, and maybe they know more than I do. They know something I don't. But typically I'm looking at it and I'm like, all right, I'm going to back off this area because whoever it is that set that one in that location, they got this pretty much covered. So I'm just going to see myself to the next area. So
have you ever been in a tree already, get in real early in black dark and get set and then someone else come in to hunt the same area or close by?
Oh yeah. That happens quite often. I say quite often. It happens that first week of November. With deer season, it's the first week of November. With turkey season, it's the opening week. You know what I mean? That's when you see the people. Yeah. You can hunt, week 2 and 3, and then it quickly tapers off. And what I have found with deer, that early season stuff, will get a little activity that first week of the season, but it quickly tapers off because it's tough hunting in 90-degree temperatures. It's just, and it affects us more than it affects the deer. I can say that with confidence. They live in it, so it don't bother them nearly as much. But that first week in November, you can expect to run into a little, you got to take it into consideration. There's by no means you can't kill deer then, but
Sure.
You should definitely take it into consideration that there's going to be some pressure and kind of guess where that's going to be. And I've had some good success with back when God, what year was that? Probably it's on video, so that had to be 20. It was probably 2020, maybe. I think it was hunting in Alabama and did just that. The place that I was hunting got a significant amount of pressure because it was kind of a limited amount of days that you could hunt. So, if you only got 9 days to hunt, people go hunt it. So
Yes.
I kind of looked in there and I thought, all right, last year I was hunting a lot of sign, but I didn't see a lot of deer. Those deer had to be bumped off this place. And so I was all right, what is the farthest you could get from here, and the deer feel safe? And I mean, man, it was like you cracked the code, because I went in there, I said, all right, I don't want there to be a lot of activity in here, but if I jump one deer or I see one pile of droppings, I know that the deer are familiar with the area and I'm going to come back during that hunt. And it ended up being I had a little bit of a curveball, because I went in to check it and somebody had dumped bait out in the area. I checked it, and then I went in right before the hunt, because that was going to be my bread and butter. I thought, when these people hit this place, these deer are going to retreat, and this is where they're going to go. And I went in there to check it, and the neighbor off the private ground had dumped a pile of corn and some of that Candy Crush and a whole pile of stuff. So I had to call the game warden in on it, and he's like, he's like, you can hunt it. I know you didn't put it out, and you can hunt as long as just don't hunt right over it. I said, well, I don't want any part of that. I don't even want to be close. I don't want there to be anything. So it ended up being like a 10-day or maybe a 14-day hunt. I ended up hunting it the next to last day of the hunt was available. And after all of it was up, and sure enough, I went and climbed a tree hour after daylight. In Alabama, things are funny, like a lot of things in Alabama, but the rut is so late. It was mid-October, and those deer were still bachelor grouped up.
Oh, yeah.
And that whole bachelor group came in there, and some really nice deer. And I ended up not getting an arrow in one of them, but it was just a kind of proof in the pudding kind of situation, to where if I had to kind of hang my hat on what caused those deer to be there, it was 100% the pressure that put them in that spot. So
It's fun when you put a plan together and it works.
Yeah, because for me, very often it doesn't.
But you figure out what doesn't work very often. Yeah. Wow. So, hey, look, Mitchell, have we got a trivia question for Dave?
We got a trivia question.
All right.
Well, let's do that.
yeah.
I didn't get to proof this trivia question, Dave, so I don't know.
Even better.
The rapid fire doesn't make me nervous. The trivia question does.
Yeah, trivia is brought to you by our friends at the Peanut Patch.
No doubt, we love those boiled peanuts.
We do.
Bison,
All right, Mitchell,
baby.
take it away.
Well, for that, we have a listener review. And what did he win?
What did we win?
Yeah, so Ryan Kirby makes these posters where you can age deer.
Oh, yeah.
Look at the body size,
Unbelievable
body
artist.
configuration,
Yep.
the antler growth. So somebody has won one of those.
Brody Kitchings. He said, great show. Always something great to learn from.
No.
Yeah.
Look
Well,
there.
so the Ryan Kirby, that poster, it's a great thing to hang at a hunting club.
Oh, yeah. Frame it, put it at the hunting club, and use it as a reference.
He's
But,
such a talent.
Snap a picture of it and have it on your phone, too.
it kind of reminds me of bottomland camo. Not only is it a tool, but it has good shelf appeal.
Oh,
And
look at there, Dudley.
some Ryan Kirby art on your wall would make a great addition to your home.
All right, Mitch.
So the trivia question is, what change signals deer to start shedding their velvet for the year?
Man.
I don't know. Would it be? I'm gonna guess with it being velvet and it being bucks, it'd be testosterone.
Yeah,
That is it.
Hey, yeah.
It always hit Bobby.
Yeah.
He dropped his velvet with testosterone.
I love some testosterone. Well, that's interesting how that happens in nature. It rises up, and they get it, and once they get out of velvet. I didn't say that.
My
I'm talking
question
about
is,
their testosterone
is the
rises.
testosterone peak correlated with the photo periods? I mean, with the days getting shorter, that's how they know
the
that
photo periods
testosterone ramping.
It's does.
What's bizarre
coming in
is,
the rut.
so
Is it does?
maybe
The photo
Alabama,
period with the doe.
maybe Alabama's the weird state, but over there, I've said this on a couple of podcasts. We will have deer starting to shed their velvet like now, already. And I'm looking at pictures of stuff. And so I've killed a deer. It opens the 15th. I've killed a deer on like the 18th of October, still had full velvet. And I've seen a couple. And the other thing is I found sheds at the end of January, and I see deer in turkey season that still have both sides.
March, yeah.
So it's such a wide range of that. I hate to think biologists can tell us it is tied to the length of the day, specifically like goblin is. I don't know. It's really strange how wide a gap is in when they drop antlers and when they shed their velvet,
I think it's hilarious how they're all bros in the summer. We're all together,
And then they
bros, and it's like after that.
Turkey's the same way. Best friends and try to kill each other.
And then a few months later, they're like, "Oh man, let's hang out again."
I just thought of something, and it's kind of random and off topic, but you know how all of our friends in the Midwest and Upper Midwest have been struggling with EHD and blue tongue all these years.
Yeah. It's been really bad this year.
Well, there's a population of deer in Alabama that is from the north, and they rut in mid-November just like they were up north. I would have thought that, I would think that by now they would have adapted better to blue tongue and EHD. You would think they could take some of those genetics and put them back where they came from.
Our deer down here still do it. They're much more immune to it than Midwestern deer. That's why when they were in the day of moving big deer around and people buying genetics and all that, and I was like, say like around 2000 or late 1990s, I would say, why don't they just like buy deer from Canada or Minnesota? My God, the bones on, and they said they don't survive. They're not acclimated to the heat, and they very few of them will survive EHD if you move them to the south from up there. So.
Yeah. So on second thought, that could be a way to spread CWD. So maybe we should ask that question to some of our biologist buddies in the future.
You can't move them around anymore because of CWD. That's been outlawed for quite a while.
So, Dave, we always enjoy having you on.
Yeah, we do.
A lot of fun.
It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, we're real proud of you. The way you handle yourself out there.
Yeah, and he's getting it done everywhere.
Do you ever walk up to one of your setups and the camera's gone and you think?
I was going to ask that.
Oh yeah, I had lost. It's not been an issue. As funny as it may be, as long as I've been like hanging cameras here and there, the only ones that I ever lost were when I went through a little bit of a spell. Quickly figured out it wasn't my speed, but when I was living in Atlanta for a time, I did some of that suburban hunting. Between the subdivisions, this is what's popular now. And I did a little bit of that. That's the only cameras I've ever had stolen. Only cameras I ever locked up until that point. Like I had never locked a camera until I went there and I thought I'm going to lock these cameras. And they got stolen. So, I was off of, some of that suburban stuff, but, typically I might lose a camera per season or something. But this past year, I lost 5 or 6 cameras. Now, granted, 3 of those were in one swoop because you guys know that I sleep out of the back of my truck a lot, and I was at a Love's travel stop sleeping out of the back of the truck, and I had my boat behind me, and I, like a fool, left my camera bag with 3 trail cameras in it and all of my keys. So all the keys to all the cables on the cameras that I had out was in that bag. Anyway, somebody just lifted the whole bag out of the boat and took it. So they got 3 cameras at once, and they got every key that I had to all the Python cables I had on my locks.
Oh, no.
So you want to talk about looking like a thief and feeling like a thief. When I had to go into the timber to recover all my cameras with a bolt cutter, I was like, all right, if anybody catches me on your trail camera, I promise I have the best of intentions. This is a recovery mission. I'm not coming to get somebody else's stuff. So
That's right.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
I can see the headline.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you see a camera in the woods, do you like walk in front of it and let them know it's you?
I typically try to be a ghost. I typically, when I see them, I just slip around behind them and stay out of everybody's way.
I got some buddies that carry little SD cards. They'll just flip them out and take the card and roll
People
on
do
out.
that too.
People do that.
Yeah.
I've had them both. I've had them take the cards out. I've had them steal the cameras, both.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had them like this past year. I had some guy just I had it chained to the tree, and I'm guessing that's why. But he just bashed the camera. I mean, just destroyed
tore it up.
Like it would have been. I don't know if he had just a baseball bat handy or what, but that's what it looked like. I don't understand how it would have took him some time. I mean, he beat that thing down to where it was just like the motherboard was hanging on the tree, just destroyed it. And I'm like, I mean, he had to be there for an hour to cause that type of damage. And I'm like, man, that's some. I just don't understand people. Like I don't typically mess with folks' stuff. I leave it how I find it. Like I said, if I see one, slip around behind it. I don't typically.
You can also carry
like
a big old shed and you just kind of stick it in front of the camera behind, and then you walk off.
That's TK and Mike would have done.
We do that to Bobby all the time.
What they do?
That's actually going to get started. The worst practical joke I've heard in the history of mankind.
This one does really well right here.
Oh my goodness! Yeah.
No, that's good.
Sweet.
Well, so Dave, the Pinhoti Project. So guys can follow you on. They can go follow you on YouTube. You're everywhere, but I'm gonna say, guys, he's way more than just turkeys. So
absolutely.
Let's keep an eye on him this fall. And Dave, we really do enjoy having you on here.
I just got to say, there's always been, from the first time I met you, but then even before you met some others here, there's always been a great chemistry. Just shows up in camp, spend some time with him at shows, doing podcasts, working together on things, and so it's really important and really cool for all of us, just like when you won last year. I was at the show. I didn't get to go watch it. And I thought Neil was going to start crying. He came tearing down there to tell us. And I mean, he wouldn't have been that excited if I'd have won it, honestly.
Yeah. It's all a fellowship. It's all a big family. Yeah, that's what Mossy Oak feels like. That's what Neil and Daniel and those guys. I mean, they're salt of the earth, and so it's all a big family, and it's all. And I'm couldn't be more appreciative to be considered part of that family. So, that's just always try to put one foot in front of the other and be appreciative of what the opportunities I've been given and the blessings that I've been given, and just make sure that we always remember that it's a temporary thing. It could be taken tomorrow. So I just 100%. Everyone with a smile on my face.
I hope people listen to you talking about that part, because it's so much it's about the deer, it's about the turkey, it's about the ducks, it's whatever, it's about my place, whatever. But it's about the people primarily over everything. Mm-hmm. And to get that along with the ride is pretty cool. So I know I point out stuff like that sometimes, but especially with you, it's really special.
Yeah. Lanny, what does Pinhoti mean?
Can I tell that?
Yeah.
Turkey home.
What a great name, Dave, that you picked there.
I'm all into branding, and that's a great one.
That is a good one. Yeah. But, I'm a brand
That was going to be the trivia question.
And great brands are what you make them. Mm-hmm. It helps to have a great name, but that's a great name because of what he's made it too. So.
Yep.
So what's Bobby? What's the Indian name for? Or can I say, excuse me? What's the Native American name for deer home?
Well, I think there's different.
You can just use
dialects,
Creek or Cherokee,
tribes.
just whatever one you want.
Quit making excuses. Answer the question.
Isn't it FUK? Doesn't it have something in there, Dudley?
That's a turkey word, not a deer word.
Okay. Well, I don't know.
I don't either.
I think deer is like Issa, depending on the dialect.
It is Issa in Mississippi. Issaquena.
They lump all the Choctaw, Chickasaw, I think, in Creek together and call it like Muskegon or something. Somebody that's native, correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, I think Issa.
Muskogee. His name.
How about that? I'm an Okie from Muskogee. What is that? That's a song. Who sings that song?
Merle Haggard.
There you go. Mm-hmm. All right, Dave. We've taken too much of your time. I love that trophy back there behind you on the wall. You need.
Boom.
You
that's the first one I've ever hung up. But when Sandy started making those, Sandy Brady, the guy behind the artwork of all these trophies, when he started making those with the American flag backdrop, and I remember the first year he did it because Matt won. And I got second, and I thought, man, that's a good looking trophy, but it don't make sense to hang a second place trophy up. I got some first place ones, but that second, I was like, man, if I want to get my hands on one of those with that American flag in it, and sure enough, this year he had one. I thought we're gonna make a spot for that one because I'm much more of a dead animals on the wall person than I am trophies and whatnot. But that one seem to fit on that blank wall back there. So
Yeah, we can relate to that on the dead animals for
Bobby
sure.
Cole.
So, an interesting thing about Sandy Brady, have you ever heard how many crows he kills in a year?
oh, you ever heard him run a crow call?
Oh, it's incredible.
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, we did a podcast with him about calling crows.
Eating
It's
crow. We
pretty
did 35 years ago. A cousin and I entertained a guy, and he was put out VHS tapes called Eating Crow, and all about crow hunting and then cooking them. Believe it or not, he was a pioneer on that.
Yeah, well, he may be the only pioneer. I haven't heard anybody else.
They eat a lot of grain.
Probably.
Yeah, and they Sandy had a video of him eating a poult, a really young poult.
Yeah, I've been told by the biologists that when they test for that they get some crows eating eggs too.
Wow. All right, Dave, you want to say anything nice about us before we let you off?
No, I'll say all the nice things. Say all the nice things. Look at what a great looking group of guys behind that bottom end table there. You know what I mean?
All right.
Hey, Godspeed this fall from all of us, and anything you need, holler.
Come see
Yes,
us.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Same to you.
Doors open anytime.
That
It was
sounds
a pleasure,
good.
gentlemen.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
well, before we close this thing out, Laney, right behind you is the Nosler rifle
Yes.
with all the accessories, Leopold scope,
so good
suppressor,
looking.
Dang, we are giving this
custom
thing away.
bottomland stock.
Go ahead and cycle that bolt and tell me how good it feels.
Oh man, it is smooth. This is the first time I've had a chance to touch this.
All right,
whereas
now-
Dudley has had it the whole time.
Quit hogging it. Hand it over.
Now,
there.
notice that it's unloaded and get a feel of that trigger pull.
I
Yeah.
can just tell.
Wow.
Yeah, that's nice.
It's got a match grade barrel.
Leopold scope, suppressor.
So, Dave, we're giving this thing away
Yep.
the 1st of November. Somebody that
Absolutely beautiful.
listens, they can go to the Mossy Oak Gamekeeper website,
Yep.
and there's
Click
a giveaway
on the Gamekeeper
page.
giveaway.
Dave, you ought to sign up. You might win that.
I think I will.
Yeah,
Yeah, I could use that.
Yep.
Cool.
What caliber is it, Lanny?
That one,
Yeah.
this one,
The one that we're
He
giving
doesn't know.
away.
I do know.
The one we're giving away.
I'm gonna
is-
let you tell the caliber, Bobby, because it's your favorite.
Well, it's a 6.5 Creedmoor. Such a controversial caliber.
But it's a good caliber.
It's it is a great caliber.
Oh, man, spare me.
Yeah, I'm not into controversies at all.
No, I mean caliber. I mean, it's like broadheads. It varies, but the most important thing about a broadhead or a bullet is where you place
It's
it.
placement for sure.
Put it where it's supposed to go.
That's
Yep.
right.
That's right.
Put some good bonded Nosler ammo in there, and you'll get a pass through and an awesome blood trail.
Yeah, I think you're getting 3 boxes of ammo with the thing too.
It's $4,500 worth of value.
It's a heck of a rig, that's for sure.
Sign up, everybody.
I hate we can't win it.
All right, Dave. Thank you so much. Why don't you say goodbye, Dudley?
Goodbye, Dudley.
Get us out of here, Mitchell.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Gamekeeper Podcast, and be sure to tune in again. Subscribe to Gamekeeper Farming for Wildlife magazine, and don't miss the Mossy Oak Properties Fistful of Dirt podcast with my good buddy, Ronnie Cuz Strickland.